Hey, what's going on, everybody? Back again with another instructional video for you. This one is going to be just more informative, no drills with this, all about the lower half, okay? What the lower half should look like. We know that it's important, we know that it's the engine to the swing, but how do we get into the proper positions? What are the proper positions? And then what does the actual lower half action look like, okay? So the first thing that I tell people about the lower half is if you don't have a good foundation, the swing is not going to be good, right? It's just like anything else. You build a house, foundation cracks, everything starts to fall apart. So that's the first thing, is having a sturdy foundation, and it starts with the load. All right, y'all hear about hip coil, you hear about hip load, you see variations of this. You see some guys that are real back-legged by itself. You see guys that are going to load more down and do this type of thing. But the key is to engage the glutes, lock into that hip, okay? Produce a storage of power and stability on that back side. That is the first thing that we start with hitters. We want to be able to get to a load position where I'm steady on that backside. It feels like I'm kind of screwed into the ground is a good way of putting that. Okay, that hip coil, kind of get the weight into the heel, and then I can hold. This doesn't matter if you're a leg kick guy, you could be, a wide nose stride. It's the same feel in that hip for the load. So number one, create a strong, stable load. Number two, once we get into that front leg, now what's going to happen? The front leg is kind of the trigger for the sequence of the swing. Bringing that energy up, ground, into body, into core, ultimately releasing energy out of the barrel, okay? But front foot hits, heel plant is gonna start that transition, that train of energy up into the hip and core, and now we wanna work underneath our body. This is where kids generally seem to fall apart. They either want to come down and they stick that leg straight in the ground and it kind of pushes everything back and can cause some disconnection there. They get here and they want to just directly spin backwards, which is going to lose direction back toward the catcher. We're trying to take energy toward the front of home plate at contact, okay? Another mistake is that unstable front side, okay? That leak, where we get here, we kind of leak into that swing, getting the body out over the front hip. The front leg needs to be strong, firm, but it doesn't necessarily have to lock out, okay? You're gonna see some hitters that get here and everything stabilizes, and as they start to get in that turn, that knee is gonna maintain a little bit of flex. Perfectly okay, as long as the head stays centered, okay? That's why it's so important to maintain your width in your base. From that launch position, we don't want to come and slide up. We don't want to fall back. We want to be able to stay centered. Now, how do the legs work, right? What is happening as we start transitioning into our turn phase? This is where I talk about rolling the knees, okay? For those players that get here and they really firm and push back, okay? As we get into our turn, the knees are going to kind of roll. The front knee is going to kind of roll just slightly, but we're going to maintain this shin angle, okay? And then as we get to contact, that would be where the firming would come. We want to be able to stay in the ground for the most part. We don't want to come up. We definitely don't want to be falling back, okay? Coming out of that stable foundation that I spoke about at the beginning. So, getting into a proper load, getting into the ground properly in launch. Here's a big mistake I see with a lot of young hitters. When they get into launch, they're going to get down in like this squat. So they get their knees way out over their toes and their body is up. Then as they go to swing, that squat move is going to promote kind of the up move, all right? We want to get into a position that's more athletic. Easiest way for me, stand up straight, stick your booty out, bend the knees a little. Now I've got chest over my toes instead of knees over my toes. So that setup is extremely important, something a lot of kids do when they're told to get in their legs. they just squat down into them. All right, so getting into that proper position, having some energy back here in the rear end and glute area where we're not so squatty. Then ready to rock and roll, front foot down, trigger, work underneath the body with the backside, maintaining that balance underneath and through the swing. So I hope that information helps. If there's any more questions on lower half mechanics, please let me know. Like and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate all the support, getting it back up and running. If you're interested in analysis and customized practice plans, visit the website. Also, my upcoming camps. Until next time, y'all be good.